I expected every TIMA members can be like me, and after you have completed your function, then you can extend your function in 慈济 just like me. Dr. Lin Huiru was a doctor that devoted herself in 911 event, and when the police saw my badge, as a role model here, and we in this program, then we invite Mr. A professor, and he graduated from National Museum of Natural Science, and he taught in the Department of Life Science in Tsinghua University. And now let's have Professor Lin Jiawei, Mother Nature's Message to Mankind. And let's give him a big hand, please.
再次用热烈的掌声欢迎李教授上台。
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. A week ago, I was at Tsinghua University, and we had a video conference. And we talked about the ecological system. And we talked about that due to the pandemic, we stopped driving. Therefore, the traffic is getting so smooth now, and the sky getting clear. And we are sorry at the same time that we feel bad because a lot of life still get sacrificed, because people really destroyed very much of the nature. And so far until last week, and we learned a very shocking news. In the past 13 years, forest as big as Mexico totally disappeared in 2013. And there is an intergovernmental organization did a very clear survey that says within a big area, just as big as Mexico, in which all the species almost get extincted. And we had like 145 experts within 3 years, and over 1 million life species also face a problem, and that is extinction. I have to clearly tell you that we don't even know how many species in the world do we have in the world. And I have to tell you that we don't know how many we have, but I have to tell you that we are, facing the extinctions of all the species. And if we calculate the life species, including bacteria, then we have almost 10 million different kinds of them here. And in the future, in the future 50 years, then we are going to lose 2/3 of all the species. And that's, I will share you a quote from a science museum which says that because of the human activities, and we made all the species decreased by 50%. And I will show you within one case. In the past 10 years, within the ocean, and we see that the bird species, the number of them get decreased by also 50%, and other animals, the number of them also get decreases by 70%. And it means that we are losing most of the lives there. And it is happening right now. This is a disaster. And this morning, we talk about the origin of human. And our CEO says, mankind originated in the world more than 30,000 million years ago. And a lot of statistics says in different ways, and some say this, but no matter how, we were here in the world, and therefore disaster of the earth therefore occurred. And genetically, we and chimpanzees look so similar. And there's only one thing that is different. And let's take a look at the tiny differences between the DNA of chimpanzees and people. Number one, aside from our brain, we have a lot of gyrus. We have many cerebral cortex gyruses. Okay. And and this is very important. So a lot of species cannot digest the starch like human beings. And this is the second difference for our human brains. And this is a very important factor. And then let's talk about our brain. And we can have more memory. Okay, so because of them, our DNA can manage a lot of management for our brains. So for more than 10,000 years, we can make animals at our home, and we can raise them, and they become our food. But in another angle, we can still say that the sheep and the oxes were tamed by people. And after those meat became an important source of our human health, and our human structure changed. Okay, and let me tell you, okay, human beings mutated and developed ourselves from trees. And why do we look so different now? And because of genes, so we can see our big differences here. So what's the more genes that makes us different from chimpanzees? And let's talk about more than 20,000 years ago. On Earth, we can witness the Earth entering the freezing period regularly. And this is a regular orbit for Earth to reduce the temperature and the sea level. And more than 2,000 million years ago, in that era, a lot of people just couldn't survive unless they moved to caves. Therefore, there they had abundant sources like shrimps, like crabs, as their food, and they are nutritious. So a lot of species could just survive there, as well as people. And more importantly, outside of the caves, they have prairies on which they can have a lot of plants, nutritious plants. So our stomach can digest them with some special enzyme. So this is the story of our ancient humans more than 2,000 million years ago. And maybe later, from the southern Europe, then they began conquering the whole world. And this is a very, very wonderful case to talk about the characteristics of humankind. And whenever human beings go and they make other species extinctions, there is nothing like we humans who are so unrest, who just wanna kill others, make other species extinct. And a lot of people just think that the last step for the migration of humankind is by Taiwanese people. Because in the past, a lot of Chinese people, they just came here to Taiwan from mainland China, and also a group of people migrated to Madagascar from Europe. Therefore, a lot of people speak similar languages according to their similar pronunciations. And Taiwanese people made such a big step, although they didn't know where their next stop would be. And they just sailed to Taiwan or other islands. And it is the story of a people. And in the past, maybe we will say people, we will criticize some people saying that they are like bad people, they are mixed races. But actually, mixed races is a truth on you and on me. And everybody in the world shares something in common. That is, we have a lot of genes inside our body, not only just one kind. And before the species extinct, and we have to know that we also have the gene of Homo neanderthalensis. And also another evidence shows that we have a group of people coming to Asia, and they are Denisovans. And they moved from Southern Asia to Siberia. They didn't have a lot of bones for now, but according to the genesis statistics, we know that this is a history of their migration. And also, in Solomons, then we also see some people with black skin, and they actually moved from Africa in more than 4,000 million years ago, 400 million years ago. And also in Tibet, China, Tibetan people also have the characteristic that they can mix with the air and their blood very well. And this is a gene from the Denisovan people. However, we have a very clear turning point in over 10,000 years ago, that the people, they gave up their original lifestyle into agriculture. And why? Why did people have such a big change? A lot of historians thought that at that era, we didn't have like more than 10 million people. And it was just like lions running on the prairie, and human beings are the absolute consumers and wasting so much food. And we had our life with such a luxurious lifestyle. And more than 10,000 years ago, people just wasted food that way. And therefore, human beings were forced to change their lifestyle into agriculture. And from another angle, and it was because of religions that make people do such a big change. And religious beliefs make people have to build like a big shrines, so people could just worship their gods. Therefore, they need so many manpower, so many people, and the manpower to build up such shrines. So they were forced to do so, and they have to change the way they eat. So agriculture occurred, therefore. And then after they grow wheat, and they have to grind them and cook them into food. But agriculture brings people a lot of advantages. They were busy when they are growing all the plants, but as they are not busy, and they could just do a lot. Well, At that era, the time and population grew, but not so fast as now. And it is the chart that we could see how population grew. And the curve in the past was really very smooth until Industrial Revolution. After people knew how to use the sources of Earth. And take China, for example. Emperor Kangxi ruled people. And after the emperors, until Dr. Sun Yat-sen, we had more than 4 trillion people in China. And it was really shocking news. And at that time, some articles say that on Earth that we have 4 million people, but in 2011, the coverage of National Geographic says that the population on Earth will be over 7 billion. It means that we had 70 to 80 million people born in the world. We used some chances of the agricultural revolution, and let me tell you, this is not true. Over 40,000 people a day starved to death in the world now. We don't have enough food. Do we have enough food? Yeah, but just a little more.
And we know that there are still shortage in the food in the world. There are people dying from the hunger in a lot of areas of the world. There are 90 billion. The population is 90 billion in 2050. And there will be shortage of rice and corn and wheat. And in the past, and there's the genetic engineering. We might be able to use the technology to help us to grow, to be advanced in the agricultural industry, so that we could feed all the populations in the whole world. And now the climate change, because of the climate change, take a look at this chart. This is from the National Geographic. And this is the prediction from the National Geography. And we hope that we could have the progress of the produce of the agriculture crops, but we did not really meet the expectation. Take a look at on this graph. The corn reduced, even it's predicted to reduce to 24%. And also, the wheat will reduce 3%, and rice 11%, and the potato will reduce 9%. This is due to the climate change. And this is pessimistic. We use fossil oil in our many products that we use, and also we use fossil oil to in our transportation. And we use natural gas. And all these natural materials, they are from this earth. They are not from anywhere else. It's from this planet. And many ancient animals, they die and then they were buried under the ground, and after many years, the body becomes the fossil oil that we use, and they also but the animal bodies were buried under the ground. It was very hard to find, but humankind developed the technology to be able to dig out these fossil oil for us to use, and this the melting down of the glaciers in Arctic is very shocking too. And this assessment of the symptoms of the global climate change let us wonder what happened to this world, because there's a record-breaking high temperature happening in the world. And there are carbon dioxide that were from 80,000 years ago. They were emitted in the atmosphere now. And the lifespan of this Mother Earth is so long that it's longer than we humankind could understand. But for humankind only appear on this planet Earth only for such a short period of time, but we exploit all the natural resources, and we make the extinction. We make the extinction of the animal species decline so fast. And we worry that in the future how humankind could continue to live on this Mother Earth. But some people think that as long as the sun is still shining on the earth and we still have the sea, we could continue our life on this planet Earth. But actually, it's not the case right now. When we see so many catastrophe happens in the whole world, this is the sixth mass extinction of the Earth has already arrived. And from the 5 billion ago, the Mother Earth has already gone through the mass extinction 5 times. And we only know that wherever humankind go, we would use all the natural resources, and we kill the wild animals. So we cause the change in the animals in the environment because of human activities. And we get married in the ancient time. People got married before they were 20 years ago, and now people got married a little later, like 30 years ago. But we still share the same DNA, and this is we worry about our children's and the future generation. How could they live on this planet Earth that the environment has already destroyed? And we found the magnet in the stomach of the bees. So the bees, they could sense the magnet of the Mother Earth. I found a partner who's doing research with me, and we are in Yunnan of Guizhou of China. We are on the prairie of the Liaoxi. We found fossils. This is what we found. This is published on the Science magazine in 1998. And these are the embryo of the animals. These are the fossils that we found from their embryo. And they have a spine on their back. This is also published on the Science magazine of 2004. We found their we found these animals, they use their senses to explore the world. They have senses. And in 2006, also published in a Science magazine, we used a microscope to see the embryo development and from the animals from 1 billion years ago. These are the advancement of these the ancient animal from the ancient times. For more than several decades in diligently working in this area, doing research, I understand that it's very precious for all the species on the earth are very precious to us. And we also learned that how the evolution of the animal species. And I also went to Russia, and I also went to Africa. These are the fossils that we found. And I found the first eye of the earth. Before that time, we in the ancient time, we have abundant resources in the marine life, and we could find all kinds of food from the sea. But now the humankind already exploited a lot of marine life species in the ocean. And in the human history, we never faced such a big challenge in the environment. The catastrophe challenging appears everywhere in the world. From the record of fossil, we could see that the catastrophe already here. We are facing in in 100 years, we are going to face more catastrophe and more disasters and climate change, change the environment. We all need to work together. We all need to work together to face this challenge. And I'm very grateful that City Foundation has started doing recycling 30 years ago. And the tropical rainforest is the most precious natural resources in the world. But and for how many people are willing in the world are willing to help out to prevent the rapid disappearance of this rainforest. And we're very grateful that there are people who are working on conserving these natural resources. We built 17 greenhouses, and also in these greenhouses, we imported the plants, all kinds of plants from all over the world. And how do we take a how do we assess these numbers? 33,000 kinds of plants. In the Northern California, there are 200,000 kinds of plants. Comparing to the diversity of the plants in the Northern California, what we have collected is the number of what we have collected were so limited. So the Emperor greenhouse in England, it's very it's one of the most and the greenhouse that they grow many kinds of plants. And this is a bromeliads. There are about 3,000 kinds of pineapples. Succulent. This is succulent. And they could grow in the most dry land. And when they have the energy that they could grow in the most dry land and to make the dry land become oasis. And in 2012, we walked out from Taiwan. We use our effort to save species and plants in the world, not only in Taiwan. And we spend a lot of effort and time to do the research and hope that our research can contribute to conserve the species of animals and plants.
And there are over 50 different planets here which are doing the job that is to cut off the woods and destroy our rainforest there. And they are going to be studied by us, and because such jobs are being developed in the world, And there's a country in Western Africa, which is Satomanian. And we were so excited that we found this island. And it is just like Taiwan to Asia, and the island there is just very similar to Taiwan geographically. Because of this, and they have many new species that is different from Taiwan. And in Sao Tome and Principe, we can see this. However, such a job suddenly stopped, suspended. Why? Politically, we just broke our relationship between this country and us. Okay, so our planet conservation job suddenly stopped. And you can see their leaf is just as big as my palm. This is a very special plant there. And also in Oceania, and they also get affected by the climate change. There is a country named Kiribati, which is going to be sunken. And they have a group of people who are so environmental aware. They don't use, they use, the natural sources instead of a fertilizer to plant their crops. But sadly, this country will be the first that is going to be sunken because of climate change. And they have a lot of different species there. And this is a pity that they would be sunken. So here you can see in the man and in the lady's hand. And this is a very special plant in Kiribati. Within the 1,000 years, then we therefore have such a special plant full of starch, and it tastes as sweet as honey and sugar cane. 3 years ago, and we had a cooperation with Vietnam, and we started a survey, and we learned that in Vietnam, they really had a conservation of many special species. However, this is a developing country, which means that such species are also facing extinction. And if I tell you that for such special planets, and we only had 5 more left in the world, and if we are careless, and they are all gone. So we have to conserve them in different countries. And we also have another method is that we do the freezing conservation, and we use nitrogen freezing that can conserve over 6,000 species that conserve the DNA and RNA of the species for the next generations to come. And we have 30 young people doing such a job. They have a common background. That is their belief. They love plants. So it is the motivation that they are here and do their best to conserve all the plants there. And because of their passion, they made it. 14 years passed, and we don't really know the bottleneck for this job. And let me tell you, okay, we are not in a lack of money. We have enough fund because we have a lot of people with a kind heart. and they are waiting to support us. But what I really lack, what I really need is talents. For the past decades, in universities, it seems that we can hardly find the courses and the curriculum to conserve the plants. Today, if we want to save the earth, I think we have to know the names of all the species and animals and plants and what role they can play in every corner of the world. So I think it is really not a good idea that we wait and see the changes in universities. Okay, so in the future Earth ecology program, we need such thing in the future for universities. And now we have such programs on now, and we have more than 100 students who just graduated, and we like them to go to the South Asia, and more talent will be fostered. And finally, I'll play you some videos to show you how urgent climate change is for now. And this is a Science magazine, which says how to stop the climate change. And clearly, it's always too late. It's already too late to do something. And in the development of humankind, and we can hardly find ways to save the Earth. Every 10 years, and the Earth's temperature is rising by 0.2 degrees Celsius. But some people may say, since the Industrial Revolution till now, we only have 2 degrees Celsius in temperature rising. So it is not too bad. But actually, this is wrong. We only have 12 more years to stop the global warming. And it is said by the Global Climate Change Panel. And let's talk about the pandemic now. I think we omit some points, and we keep on destroying the nature. And for conclusion, Mr. Hans Joseph Strambler said to reporters that, and the Earth that accommodates more than 7.5 billion people can face a sad tragedy that only 1 million people can survive because of a lack of food and lack of land. I think this is just like we are playing the musical chair game. There will be 2/3 of the population who have no place to survive. Well, facing such a disaster, we have to know that so many inconveniences in your life can be just trivial. But most of the people, including Taiwanese people, are just doing some trivials that is always helpless to saving the earth. And last week, I received the latest article from the Science Museum. And it was the 175th anniversary of this magazine. And I was shocked by this article titled with "Who Can Stop the Extinction?" Sorry to bother you, sorry to make you feel down, and thank you for the sharing of